Welcome to the Valley Out Collective. And we're just two collectors talking whatever we want to talk about. So I'm joined tonight with Scott. Hey, Scott, how are you doing?
All right, how are you?
I'm doing all right, and I am Swan. So me and Scott here just talked about just doing a show out of sake of doing a show. Nothing really fancy smancy, just guys that invite a bunch of collectors, and we're just going to talk story and talk about what we like. So, Scott, you reading anything new today?
What's the last thing I've been reading? I read some Silver Surfers.
Oh, okay. Silver Age, modern, current, bronze,
Current,
current. Okay.
the Mike Allred issues.
All right. I know you're a fan of that. I kind of wasn't, but at least someone's able to appreciate that series.
Yeah. I mean, as a character, I always thought Silver Surfer was all right, but once you got like Dan Slott and Mike Allred on it kind of became something else, you know?
Okay, I'll agree with that. My favorite Silver Surfer of all time is actually just the art, and that's John Buscema's. I really like the way he did it.
For me, I think my favorite Silver Surfer story was probably the Mobius one.
Okay, yeah, the stories.
That I liked, and obviously the Kirby stuff.
Okay, yeah, no, I gotta agree. Kirby stuff is great. It's just really nice to see. I think Buscema just is on par with that. That's why I like it so much. The art there is just it blows you away every time. So technically this is our second episode, but first episode we had so much technical difficulties it was kind of hard to salvage. So Scott and I are trying this again. Last episode we talked about some things that we liked, we didn't like, our stance on variants. And just because this one's actually a better topic to talk about, Scott, what are your artistic influences? Because Scott's an artist as well.
I don't know. I think everything I read or listen to or see kind of just gets jumbled up in my head. So what comes out is just amalgamation of everything, right?
Correct.
But I mean, if I had to say this is the artist I wish I could be like, it'd be Matt Wagner.
Oh yeah, no, his Grendel and his Mage stuff is amazing. Love Wagner's work.
He's a storyteller. He's great, and when
Yeah,
he does the story and the art, then that's all 100%.
that's true. I remember when we got the Mage series and people went nuts back in the day when I used to work at the comic store. But one of the series that I liked the most from him was always Grendel, especially his new run on Grendel. It's really good from Dark Horse.
Grendel is probably my favorite of his creations.
I like the look, it's so simple, especially with his art. That's what I think gets me so involved with Wagner is he has such a simplistic art style. It's easy to follow the story and you don't get
Right,
sucked too much.
right. And even even if he's doing action scenes or splash pages, it's not that image in Marvel Comics. Wow,
Right, it's not
it's
in your face. It's real subtle and you get to see and admire everything about it.
yeah,
His stuff is very inspiring,
definitely very clean art style.
It is, and that's he's one of those very few guys where I always agree that simple is better, and everyone's
Yeah,
all worried about like having the most dynamic art style, and trying to be on the Frazetta Jim Lee level, but he took it to where it's like you don't gotta be there.
right. It's not. Can't think of what it was gonna say, but it's definitely not. There's no excess lines, on his pages.
Right.
Um,
It's really straight to the point.
yeah,
It's what is it? It's ABC. It's not A and then part one here, dialogue four there. You tell that he wants to just tell it beginning and no filler.
right.
No, that's what I like about it too.
Yeah. For the most part, just going over, going through old stuff. Um, been doing some collection organizing, And as I pull out stuff, I go, oh, I gotta stop and check these out for a while.
No, that's the fun part about going through the collection is when you find that book and you're like, I wonder what this was like. I'm gonna revisit it.
What about you? What have you been reading or watching?
You know, I actually revisited
Oh, you
Eric
said
Powell's
you
Hillbilly
just
series.
watched,
What was that last part?
you said you just watched The Mandalorian. How did you like it?
Yeah, I finally watched it. Now, for those who don't know, yes, I actually managed to not watch Mandalorian ever. Reasoning being, whenever I went to watch it, I just had that one bad luck moment where I had a friend or a customer and like, here's the end of the episode and pretty much what happened in it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I lost interest over time, man. I could have
Right?
it. I think I had what 4 episodes spoiled for me back to back, and I was like, you know
Uh,
what? I'll just hold off on it. Finally decided to watch it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I could see where everyone just spoiled it, and then I could see the part they didn't spoil at all. And it was just fun to experience the show, you know?
I like some of the small ties in there, to the universe.
Oh yeah, like you can tell it's a standalone show, but you have those moments, like those little sniglets that pull you back in.
Right. And you saw Last Jedi, right? I mean, not the Last Jedi, but Rise of Skywalker, right?
I did not
Oh, okay. So I won't say anything.
watch that.
um,
Yeah, I'm a terrible Star Wars guy. I don't watch anything on time. No, but I will say though, it was really fun to see like the celebrity cameos in there, like Horatio Sands. I didn't even recognize him in the Aliens. And Nick Nolte was pretty cool to see Taika Waititi's voice as the IG unit. By the way, favorite Star Wars character is always that droid. Because whenever I saw it the first time, you don't see it move, you don't see it fight. It just stands there. And I was wondering, like, I wonder what it would look like if it ever got into like, an actual gunfight. And then just to see it, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like the way they did it.
right. There was, yeah, but I think the thing I like the most about, of course, this is after seeing Rise of Skywalker, was that the Mandalorian has ties to like all over. I mean, not direct ties to Rise of Skywalker, but you see similar things. It has ties to the animated series, Clone Wars and Rebels, that kind of stuff. Um, Pretty trippy.
Oh yeah, no, and yet again, it's like one of those background stories that are just going, you don't really know. That's this kind of stuff I like, and it gets me intrigued.
Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, this is what I'm watching.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I do remember that movie. Yeah, Scott and I, we love our horror movies. You know, we can't go without them.
So pretty fun stuff if you like things a little bit wacky.
Well, compared to what we get nowadays, I think that would be considered normal at this point. Because what's our new standard of wacky Sharknado, Lava Lantula?
And then after, I don't know if I'll do it tonight, but the next movie I'm watching is the Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund.
Oh, really? Wow. Nice choice.
That's another one I haven't. I saw it once, like when it came out on video way back when, but never revisited it. And I don't remember liking it then, but a lot of
Probably
things
like it better now.
you know.
No, I mentioned this last time. I checked out this documentary series. It's like 5 parts. It's called Monster Madness. It's where they take all the Universal monsters, speaking of Phantom of the Opera, and they break it down. Like they break down this section's for Dracula, Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback, whatever. And then you go to the creature side with like, you know, Metaluna Mutant and Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's really interesting to see how they split it up. I kind of wish it was just one big documentary. It's on Amazon Prime. I would say check it out.
What's it called?
Monster Madness.
Monster. I have to remember that. You have a favorite Universal monster?
I think for us, everyone's gonna say Creature from the Black Lagoon on this one.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah. See, my thing with Creature was it wasn't the fact that it scared me per se. It was the fact of how well done it was. When you see that
Absolutely.
swimming underwater scenes, like that's better than what we get most days. And that wasn't even special effects. That was practical, pretty much. They sold it, man. That was like one of the best movies to me. But other than Creature, do you have a favorite?
Um, that's probably my favorite, and probably next would be The Bride.
Okay, Brad. All right. I know I'm gonna sound like a little bit of a weird choice on this one, but I say Mummy for me. I don't know why. I like the Mummy series. It's just so good. Boris
It is,
Karloff is just so good.
absolutely. You know, I can't live without any of them. They're all excellent.
Of course. No, I agree with you completely,
And
you know.
they're definitely the basis of my being a horror fan.
Of course. I think that was what majority of our intro into horror. And then all of a sudden it starts going
A lot
from
of
there.
people, it's stuff like Halloween and Friday the 13th. A lot of people my age, that's
True.
kind of started. But and those may have been some of the earlier horror movies I saw, but it made me want to go back and further.
Okay.
And once I took a look at the Universal horror and Hammer films, I was like, oh, that's the stuff I really like.
Well, for me, it's like you don't need much. It just works, you know? Like it's a product of its time that you just enjoy. You know, I showed Swan, the other Swan, the Mummy series, and he kind of fell asleep on it, but I was like, man, that's pretty cool. You know, it's like to me, it's an underrated part. I think everyone's like, oh, you know, we all moved on for those guys. We don't know them anymore. But I disagree, you know, and what makes it worse is people's newest look on the original Mummy is either the Brendan Fraser movie
Right,
or the Tom Cruise movie now.
right.
No, that's when I just that's when I just like to just grab out that Blu-ray and just like, hey, watch this version. It's better.
I did just recently watch the Brendan Fraser Mummy again.
Okay.
Um,
Did you watch all three or just the first one?
the first one. Watched it with a kid, and it was it was fun for him, and it was fun to watch that kind of a film with him. But I can appreciate it for the fun aspect. It's a very fun movie.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it didn't do for me what the Universal does.
I don't know. Like for some odd reason, whenever I watch that movie, I always think about Bruce Campbell instead of Brendan Fraser. Like I think he's been a better choice, you know. I know a lot of my friends are like, oh no, Bruce Campbell as they want to see Bruce Campbell as Frankenstein. I was like, that'll be interesting, but I don't think it'd be as interesting as people think.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah, I can see him in that kind of film.
Right? As like the adventurer that kind of messes up every now and then. But yeah, he would have more fun. Yeah, I'd have to agree though. Like I think what was it, my first intro into horror? I think it was Evil Dead. I forget what my first movie was.
Do you remember what your first horror movie was?
Like best memory, Evil Dead, and then I went back to Universal. But once I got to see like Creature and stuff, I was like, man, these other movies suck.
I the earliest horror movie I can remember seeing was called Trilogy of Terror.
Heck yeah, that was one of the best with the little fertility doll story and everything.
So,
Yeah.
and I was 3 years old, and um, my dad was watching it, and I was with my dad at that time, and um, I remember seeing that stupid doll come to life and just freaking out as a kid.
Well, that doll standing still is just as creepy. You know.
And it gave me kind of the heebie-jeebies for years. Sometime, I don't know how long after I saw that movie it happened, but sometime after that, one of my relatives got I guess it was like a replica of that doll, and I was still like very young, like 5 years old maybe, and I remember I saw the doll and like totally flipped out, thinking, "Oh my God, this thing is real," and it scared me for years because he had it in his house for years, and finally, it wasn't like until I must have been like 12 or 13 when I took the thing off the shelf, took the chain off just to see if it would come alive, and it didn't.
Now, I know a lot of people don't like to think about it. Imagine that being remade though. I don't think it would have the same sustenance as it would.
I don't think so. Even that new Child's Play was kind of crap, and it wasn't very scary.
To me, I gotta agree. I mean, I just didn't really care for it too much. It had some fun scenes, I'll admit that.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I'm like, all right, eh, I like the magical side of it, the lore behind Chucky better than the
right,
sci-fi. Because then at that point you just put him next to almost any other killer robot movie.
right, right. Um, and then I guess I would have been about 7 or 8 when Jaws came out, and that I saw in the theaters, and living in Hawaii, it made me afraid of the ocean for a
I was about to say, yeah, I think all of us after we saw Jaws is like, all right,
yeah. And but
parents
after
need the
seeing
life lesson.
after seeing Jaws, I think is when I got hooked on horror movies. And I mean, not that I watched a lot at like 7, 8, but I didn't mind seeing stuff that scared me at that point.
All
And
right.
then by the time I was a young teen, 12, 13, then I was full on, I gotta watch this horror movie.
What was it? I think when Jaws, I didn't watch it till it was on VHS, obviously. But I just remember my mom coming up to me, she goes, "This is why we wait an hour before going swimming," and it shows you Jaws. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So ever since then, everyone's like, "You're not gonna go in the water." I was like, "I was told to wait an hour before going swimming," and they're like, "Or else what? Or else Jaws? What happened?"
And of course, that eventually led to getting into horror comics, and horror this and horror that.
I think I was kind of backwards with it. I think I started off finding like just stuff with monsters because to me, I always like superhero stories, but to like the more interesting characters are always the monster characters because
Swamp.
most people, yeah, like Swamp Thing, Man Thing, well, not even just Man Thing, like random things like the Glob, that Incredible Hulk story. It's like that's modern Glob, yeah, but I was like, huh, it's to me it was just more exciting. That's how I got into like Ghost Rider a lot more like easier than started going down the superhero stuff. Got introduced to Kirby through the Demon, and I was like, okay, more. I don't know. I want to say for me, it's just more interesting reads than the usual superhero story.
I think
That's
so.
why whenever I read Superman, I just kind of get bored.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you well, regardless of whether it's a superhero comic or what, when you move it into the horror area or into even into to more cosmic or science fiction stuff, you get much more interesting stories than if it's just your normal run of the mill superhero comic.
Well, it's true. Yeah, I gotta agree.
It's just it takes more world building, for something like that.
I think that's what it is too. You get to see like the universe that go from here just to where when you go to cosmic, it just goes wider horizons, and then you get much more fun characters to read about. Like I think that's what kind of knocked me off of Marvel at one point. 'Cause I remember when they rebooted everything again, everybody started going to space, and I was like, all right, yeah, not really into this. That's why with DC, I noticed that they dabble in more of the horror than the cosmic stuff, even though they do have like Green Lantern and all that stuff. I'm talking more like Justice League Dark. All those series to me are just more interesting to read. Plus, they take random characters and they find a way to make it work. Like Gotham City Monsters,
Right, right. Um, then you have stuff like
especially
the Demon and Swamp Thing again.
Man Bat joining a team.
Yeah, that stuff was way more interesting to me.
You hit gold when you find a way to make Detective Chimp work.
Right? I actually like that stuff.
Oh yeah, I think as far as horror comics goes, I really enjoy what Albatross Funny Books have been putting out. I love the Hillbilly series. Have you ever read it?
Um, I have them all, but I haven't read them all. I read the first
Um,
couple of issues.
I would
But
say find a day to just like sit aside and just read it. It's one of the best series they've ever put out. I really like it. I love it as just as much as the Goon.
is there still Spook Show comics out, or is that done?
What was that?
The Spook Show
Oh,
series?
Spook House. Spook House is like their
Out
Halloween
already?
time stuff. No, they come out with stuff. Like I have this one right here. This one came out for Halloween Comic Fest. They're handing these out for free at MauiCon. Usually they'll come out like little mini stories. And I know that I think there was a new series. I would double check that for you. I have them all. I love those too.
My next thing that I gotta um, kind of set myself to catch up with is Hellboy and the BPRD stuff. But I don't know when I stopped. Now there's a
I have a
whole
lot of
bunch.
early Hellboy.
What's that?
You have a lot of the early Hellboy stuff.
Oh yeah, probably at least the first 5 or 6 years. I have like everything.
Holy
Um,
crap!
and after that, like there was stuff I started missing. Um, but then there was that period when Complete Comics closed down and we didn't have a comic shop, and at that point, whatever came out in that period of years, I don't have any of
It was just done already. Yeah,
that.
I remember when Complete closed down. That was heck. I think. Do you remember the one comic shop that was next to Kahului Laundromat? That's now the pet shop.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of their stock. Like when they were going out of business, my grandma brought a lot of it home. I haven't touched the boxes since. I went through them a couple of times, but so at this point, I don't know what's in them.
I used to go there sometimes.
All I
Um,
remember is being told
remember they
everything is
were
expensive in that store.
I remember they were really big on image.
Oh yeah,
Image, and, and I was never huge on it. Um, so a lot of times it was like walk in there, look around, leave. um,
it's like an in and out job, pretty much.
yeah. DC's always been where it's at for me.
Oh yeah. Well,
Awesome.
that's how we actually became friends. So
Right.
that was pretty cool. Like I thought I had to explain some stuff to you on the wall books, and this is like way back when I used to work at the comic store. And when you walked in, I was like, "Oh, look, this is the first appearance," and you're like, "I already know what this entire row is." I was like, "Oh, finally, someone who understands me."
um, and DC they had the whole Vertigo line, which was great for me because it had a lot of horror, um, a lot
Well,
of
it was like that stuff they wouldn't put with the main
right,
DC titles, so they put it on the side.
right. There was room for a lot of stuff that just you would never see in superhero universe. Um,
No, yeah, I agree.
a
Had a
lot
lot
of
of fun stuff.
writing that was done, by creators that wanted to tell a story versus trying to sell a comic.
Right. To me, you can tell your work shows, and if you are only doing it for money, it'll totally see it. But most people that I know, they got into it because the person really just enjoyed it, and that's where I think a lot of creators kind of lost me along the way, because then they went from I did it because I loved it to all right, now this is what I do to make money, and
Right.
it turns you off of the idea more.
I think that's how I felt about the Image guys. They all left Marvel to go do their thing, and wanted to have creative control. They wanted to be able to focus on their own characters, but eventually, majority of them all handed their stuff over to somebody else anyway, um, and it became just like Marvel to me.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair opinion. No,
I think
I can agree with that.
Eric Larson's about the only one left, right? That still is doing his own title 100%. Savage Dragon.
That's true.
I think everybody else is Jim Lee's not doing Wildcats, and if he has, well, he's had Wildstorm. It wasn't him doing it usually. Um, McFarlane might write Spawn, but he's not drawing it. Sometimes he's not even writing, right? I think he's just plotting sometimes.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just he has a hand in it, just not a really strong role.
The rest of the guys, I mean, you don't even see their names, you know?
Well, that's true. I kind of got scared one day. I think this is right before I left the comic store. Somebody thought Willis Portacio died. I was like, I don't think he's dead.
No way.
Yeah, they're like, man, too bad Willis Portacio, man. That guy used to do a lot of great books, and then he died. I'm like, he didn't die. What? Who told you that?
What was I just saying? You know, he's actually been doing a lot of covers for DC at some point. I can't remember what title it was, like variant covers. As I was going through my stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's a Willis Portacio cover."
I'm not sure.
It was either like Suicide Squad or
And this is current comics, like with
yeah,
the
current
last
series.
2 years.
Yeah, but it's only like the variant covers. Um, Other than that, I don't know what else he's been doing. Liefeld, we don't see him doing anything right now. Not a fan of Liefeld's art or his writing or anything that he's created, but I gotta say he's a super nice guy.
He is, and you know, he's a very enthusiastic person. He actually gave me a lot of good artist tips. So you know what? I'll be honest. I enjoy his art. I mean, especially his Hawk and Dove stuff. I always thought that was his best work.
That would be my favorite thing that he's done, probably.
I remember he gave Alika so much crap because he pulled up aside all the Liefeld, Captain America, X-Men, and we're like, what about all this Hawk and Dove stuff, huh? Huh? And he's like, I didn't know he did it. And I was like, come on, man, it's his best work.
I think, you know, that was like with the Hawk and Dove stuff, I think it was earlier in his career, so he was still trying to do stuff as good as he can. Versus by the time he got to stuff like X-Force, it was all about looking as stylized as he could be, you know.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, he had the most pouches upon pouches, and you know, especially when he created the character called the Pouch. So
Right,
I laughed.
right.
You know, I know a lot of people give him crap about the no feet thing, but he owns it. You know, like anything bad they have to say, he just owns it. He doesn't care.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, to him, it's like you can criticize me all the way to the bank. I still did it.
Right. He's all, everything I've seen or heard about him. Seems like a real nice guy.
Oh yeah,
I haven't met him in person, but
I think one of the best stories I could share with you is when he came to the comic store the first time. You know, and we felt bad because he was on vacation, and a guy hit him up on Instagram and told him, "Hey, you got to stop by here." So he stopped by. Unfortunately, the customer came after he left, but he just was like, "Oh, do you have anything of my work that you want me to sign?" I was just, "Oh yeah, we have this." And he's like, "What else do you have?" And we're like, "Oh no, no, that's it." He's like, "No, give me everything you got. I will sign all of it." I was like, "Well, thank you so much. That's so nice of you, and we're so sorry for taking up your time."
very cool.
Yeah. Is there any creator you would like to meet, or just any artist or writer in general?
Um, Besides Matt Wagner,
Besides Wagner, yeah.
Mike Allred.
Mike Allred's a good choice.
And you know,
Yeah.
so I was like super disappointed when he canceled on the con on Oahu last year. But he had, you know, after the con, he had messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, "Oh, we'll be back, you know, for the con next summer." But now we have the COVID thing. And I'm like, I guess he's not coming again.
Well, you know, right now, yeah, we have that pandemic and everything's getting canceled left and right. But I say, you know, keep it in the back of your mind. You never know, because then who knows? Maybe when all this is done, he decides to come
Yeah,
back anyway. You know,
it may happen. I mean, they haven't canceled that one yet,
true, very true.
but I'm not holding my breath. I think this whole situation with COVID-19 is not I don't think it's going to be over as soon as people hope or as soon as people think.
You know,
Uh,
I can't stress you that enough. It could be if people just followed the rules and stayed home. But you know, a lot of people are kind of stubborn. They don't want to. Now we have protesters against quarantine outside in the open.
right, and you know, with when people locally see on Facebook or on their whatever news apps they have that these protests are going on, um, I can totally see the people here going, "Yeah, why should we have to stay home?" um,
Well, it just makes the situation worse, you know.
right.
Like for me, I just hated the fact that everyone's like, "Oh yeah, a month." I was like, "No, I think this could go all the way to September, possibly even November. Who knows? It depends on how well people are willing to cooperate, you know."
I mean, I get it. I feel for all the people that aren't able to work, um, aren't able to make money right now, and
Oh yeah, financially it's a tough situation, but at the same time, like, do you want to be safe or do you want to just
yeah,
be sorry? A lot of
it's
people are
like
taking that sorry method of approach.
what good is work if you're dead? You know.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Like for me, the funniest thing at work when we were still open was what was it? Lady was ringing out, and my coworker sneezed at the register, and someone else next to them coughed. She just threw her hands right in the air. She's like, "I'm done. I'm walking out of here." I'm like, "All right. Have a nice day, crazy person." It's like, yet I can see people like that are already protesting, and part of that I think it's because they already panic buy, they already spent all their money, and then they realize, oh crap, I still have bills to pay. I need to go back to work. But at the same time, it's like you said, can you work if you're dead? I think it's one of these things where we should just follow the rules, stay home, you know, continuously wash our hands, have better hygiene.
If everybody would just get it together and do what they gotta do, it'd be over sooner.
Right. You know,
But as you get these, you know, I said COVIDiots, but I mean I don't think I coined that term, but um, you know, you get all these idiots that are just not doing what they have to. It's just dragging it
still
on.
going out, they're still partying, they're still trying to do a lot of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
hear you loud and clear.
I know
That's
is
why,
saying that there's somebody on their street that's still having barbecues or doing this, like they're on vacation, you know?
well, the thing I hate is here, they're like, oh yeah, don't go to the beach, don't go anywhere, stay home. But if you want to go to the beach, you can to work out. I'm like, but you just told us to stay home. Yeah, yeah, you got to stay home. Don't go to the beach unless it's like two people per household and you guys keep
Right.
6 feet apart and you guys are doing exercises only. I'm like, but what's the point of staying home? You said you're telling us we can go to this area. No, but you got to stay home. It's like, make up your mind. Are we staying home or are we staying outside? What's happening?
It's hard for the politicians, you
True, true.
know. They're gonna get those. They're always gonna have those people that are like, you know, we need to get back to work. We need to get back to work. We gotta make money.
Well, yeah, and you know that's the sad part is we're looking at the economy's health versus the people's health.
Right.
You know, and I remember when this whole thing started, everyone's like, it's just attacking elderly. Then they found out younger people are getting it. It's just attacking them, and now they found out everyone can get it, including animals. They're like, oh,
Absolutely.
you know,
And now that you know, everybody's aware now that um, you can have the virus but not show any symptoms. So I mean, really, we don't know who has it. You know, so um, and you know, you still see a lot of people out there in public without masks and you know, not keeping their distance and still shaking hands, fist bumps, and yeah, I'm just like, what?
you know, I know a lot of people are thinking, oh yeah, we're just gonna go back to normal, you know, but at this point, what's gonna be normal? Like
Right,
me, will I still have that way of going, what's up, man, and just fist bumping you, or I'm just gonna air five you from a distance.
right, and that's what I've been telling you know people around me. Just you know, like it's not gonna normal isn't gonna be what it was. You know,
Well, I mean, let's look back to
people,
1920 when they had their pandemic moment. Yeah, obviously they eventually got through it, give it take some years. but what was normal for them before it, you know? And now here they are, here we are years later, history repeating itself. And I don't know, man. All I know is I know most people won't go back to work without a vaccine. Let's just hope somewhere down the line in the future it does help out. Everything does get better.
Right. And as far as I'm concerned, there's never going to be a cure
Yeah,
for it.
there'll be a way to prevent it, but not cure it.
Do a vaccination and whatnot, or a vaccine, but they're not going to be able to cure it because it's a virus, you know.
True.
Like any other virus, there's no cure. That's why we get the common cold and the flu over and over and over.
The only thing I kind of don't like is how people are getting about SDCC canceling. Because I don't know if you heard about that. Yeah, San Diego got canceled.
I heard it canceled, but I haven't heard what people have been saying.
Well, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I think this is BS. I think it should still go on. A lot of people don't understand the creators and artists and other vendors are suffering too because of the cancellation.
Yeah.
But
for a lot of them, that's their only money outside of what they get paid by page. You know what I mean?
True. Very true. Speaking of which,
canceling all these things is the right thing to do.
It's the responsible choice. I agree. I don't know. Like for me, what do you think? I think 5 more months and we're good.
Maybe. I mean, I think this is going to take us at least through summer.
Yeah, I've agreed. I'm gonna think so too. I just wish all the movies that are pushed back to next year at least was offered for streaming or straight to Blu-ray, something.
I think some will be. You know, I mean, some have been.
Yeah.
But I think as this drags on, they may decide to release things. Imagine a whole year's worth of movie delayed. I mean, now you delay like the entire next 10 years. Yeah.
Right. Well, for me, I just want to the only thing I was looking forward to seeing this year was Ghostbusters Afterlife. And then I was good. I didn't need to watch another movie this year. And then I got pushed back. And I'm not gonna be one of those spoiled fans who are like, oh my god, no. How dare they? I'm gonna enjoy it. It's just it sucks gonna have to drag out for another year thinking about it.
It'll happen when it happens.
That's true. Speaking of creating, did you have any good ideas for your comic you want to make? I know you had a lot of ideas last time we ever talked about it. You don't still know which one.
I have various ideas. Ultimately, I think if I ever did, sit down and try and put together a comic, I would probably try and set them all in Hawaii. But the whole thing about writing what you know.
Right. Horror stories in Hawaii, or
kind of,
Yeah.
And maybe not just horror stories, but all kind of set in Hawaii, or at least if it's in other places, it would be somewhere I'm familiar with. So I could write about Tokyo,
Right.
But and areas in California, but I haven't been to most of the United States, so I'm not going to write about it. It would all be fake.
Could you imagine that though? You just BS like 90% of it, then it goes to that area. They're like, this fricker doesn't know anything about where we are.
But I think if I do it that way, then you can start to use landmarks or areas that you are familiar with, that people go, oh yeah, that is this place or that place. Also, I'm not opposed to having like superheroes or something, but I think if it happened, it would be less of a Marvel or DC style universe and more just this weird thing that happened to this guy in Hawaii.
True.
I mean, more along the lines of like Hitchcock. I mean, not Hitchcock, but Hancock.
You had me sold on Hitchcock, though. By the way, I would love to see that.
I don't write that well. I don't think so.
Hey, sometimes you'll surprise yourself.
Um, but I really I love twist endings that work. So you know,
Do you think the twist is overused nowadays?
um, I don't know if overused, but I it's not effective a lot of the time. I think.
I think Jordan Peele does a good twist. Like he's really good with it. He's good at getting you to think in a different way,
Mm,
you know. But then again, I do like Stephen King's twists every now and then.
uh, um, I really liked M Night Shyamalan for a while.
At
Um,
what point did you like stop liking him?
I wouldn't say that I ever stopped liking him, but I appreciated that. Um, I feel like as he continued on, um, telling the story was starting to become more important than having the twist,
Hmm.
and I appreciated that. Where a lot of other people, I think, didn't like it because they expected him to always have a twist. Um, and then when it's not like a super unexpected twist at the end, then people think he failed, you know.
Right,
Uh,
of course.
but to me, it's just his story writing got better though.
I'll agree with you on that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not so big on Shyamalan too much, but I would say some of my favorite stuff has to be The Unbreakable. You know,
Yeah.
Glass and all that stuff is
I
cool.
mean, Split was really good,
Oh yeah, Split especially. I
and
like how he found a way though to tie it to Unbreakable
yeah.
that that brought Glass in. You know, it was really cool.
Um, and I really liked The Visit. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw The Visit. I
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to say it was pretty good. It had me thinking the whole time.
yeah, I really like that movie, and that's where I was like, oh, you know, he's gotten really good as a storyteller, I think. Yeah, and I think you know, comic books, movies, that's all it's about, really, is how good a story you tell.
Right.
The story that if the story sucks, I don't, you know,
Well, let's put it this way. I could be Picasso for all I care, and I could just have the world's best art or whatever. If I don't have a story to go with it, then why am I opening it? You know, I
right,
have to give you some kind of incentive to want to continue reading it.
right. You know, there are a lot of people that nothing's wrong with it, but there are a lot of people that the only thing that really matters to them in terms of as far as a comic goes is how good the art is.
Well, I
They
would
know all
say
the artists'
art.
names, but they don't know any of the writers' names.
Well, I would say that yeah, a lot of writers they do get left out a lot because a lot of people like to go, oh, you know, this guy did this. I was like, but without the writer, that character wouldn't have anything to do really.
Right.
It's a fancy art. That was a lesson I had to learn the most though, as far as trying to make a comic goes, is learning that it's not just art. You got to learn to have a story. Almost to the point where it's like, okay, I'm glad I had my hand injury a few years ago, and I just took up creative writing classes and all that other jazz. Like it made me appreciate the writer's part of it more than just being the artistic side.
I, you know, as far back as I can remember, I was always a reader. Um, and before, you know, I really got into comic books, I was, you know, I read a lot of novels um, as a kid. So for me, the great art or the painted art and you know all the different styles was all like icing on the cake. But stories were always primary for me, and I think that's why I just always gravitated toward DC. They had, to
They
me,
had
better
the
writing.
better writers. Yeah. No, I gotta agree
They,
with you. Like what dropped me off of Marvel at one point was this is like back when the shop first opened. They had all these good characters. They had a good story. They had a good build up. But once the story gained momentum, they canceled it. They canceled it at the best and the highest point. And there's cliffhangers to this day. I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's just it's irritating. You know, you have a character, you invest in it, you're paying your money for it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, hey guys, last issue is already done. I was like, I just got tired of that. And that's why I like DC too, because they don't, they pretty much don't sucker you in for your money. They'll give you that story and they'll let it run a few story arcs.
Right.
But
Except to do stuff like Convergence, that was pretty awful.
we don't, I don't remember Convergence too well, thankfully. You know,
I think it was just
I think that's what irritates me about comics nowadays is everyone remembers this one really bad event and then you have Rebirth happen and people are like, I don't think it's going to be good. And then you skip out on it and you're like, oh shoot, it's that good. I wish I read it now.
right. No, I was very happy with Rebirth.
Oh yeah, a lot of it was really, really well done.
I thought it got see back into a stronger position.
I think you're the only person I know that's collected all of them and continues to collect it all of them.
As I was going through all this stuff, I did find I'm missing some stuff, but not a ton.
I remember, and we always had the customer. I was like, I will start on every single Rebirth title, and then by, I think what, the 12th issue, they're like, all right, we got to drop all this. This is way too much now. I was just, oh, why do you make my job so much harder? Did you have a Rebirth title you just didn't like at all?
Was that?
Did
What
you
was
have a
that?
Rebirth title that you just didn't like at all?
Um, Not really. Um, I was never a huge fan of the new Blue Beetle, so that was one of the ones I liked it less, but it was still decently written. So I was still into reading it, just not super big on the character. Um, One of the more recent things, like in the last, I don't know, maybe over the last 6 months to a year, um, DC has had that Wonder Comics line that has
Yeah,
this and Wonder Twins. I've liked those comics as they come out. That Valleys for Hero that they had. I think those are actually pretty good. And I'm not sure. I mean, it seems to me, based on the characters, that it's kind of geared towards younger readers,
mm-hmm.
but still very cool. They had the Naomi series that ran for 6 issues. Um,
Mm-hmm. I remember that series. That series is pretty good.
I didn't even like that.
Really, you didn't like it?
I really did.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you said you
Yeah,
didn't like it.
I
I don't
liked it a
know.
lot. So
Whenever it comes to, I think when it came to DC titles, the one title I was just sick of was Batman Damned. Like that
I,
one to me was
it
just, I didn't like that one at all. Yeah.
was all right.
Well, to me, it
That's
was
okay.
just, it
It
was
didn't live up
annoying.
to
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that. It's, I just hated the fact that people made such a big deal about it because he showed his dick. You know. I'm
right.
like, all right, okay, guys, let's be mature adults now. Did anyone not see Will Bermejo's art? Like the art
Right.
is killer. You know, I love the way he drawn Dead Man in that series, and the story was there. It's just everyone's like, but whose penis is showing next? I'm like, oh my god. Plus, I love their version of Etrigan the Demon. Like to me, that was awesome. I was just mad we didn't get a series off of that.
Right.
So, Black Label, do you like it, or is there? Well,
Well, I don't. I have nothing against the idea of Black Label. I just don't know that these characters have to be treated that way.
I will agree.
I think it's fine for them to have taken, say, the Vertigo titles and say that's going to be Black Label
Right.
now, and to have whatever new original series they want to do in that universe or for that imprint. But I don't feel like Batman and
Superman.
Superman needs to be put into that kind of adult world.
To me, I don't think it was one of those things like we. It's like we gotta do this. It's more like, oh, we can do it. We can just do it, and that's why we'll just do it anyway. Because when you have Batman and Superman, you're like, oh God, yeah, we'll get these people in to buy it. But really, it was this. All right, now what?
Right.
Not like
I,
anything in Black Label is canon, right? It's all elsewhere stuff.
right. I think I'm my opinion of having something like Black Label. I think is tied to even in the cinematic universes. Um, to make say something like Deadpool, which is rated R, and at some point wanting that to come into the normal Marvel universe. I don't want to see it.
Right,
um, if you want to have a rated R Deadpool, I'm fine with that because they're fun movies, but I'd rather that be separate.
right.
So, and then even looking at like Suicide Squad and then the Harley Quinn movie, Birds of Prey, um, having to make that a rated R movie, why? Just because you want to throw in a couple of swearing sections, it's not. I think, and this goes for any movies too. I think the need to push for a higher rating shows a lack of creativity.
I can see that. You have a fair point there. For me, for those movies,
Look at like horror movies. Um, Not that Jaws is a horror movie, but Jaws is pretty horrific.
it's
Even
PG.
even it looks pretty horrific, and that is a PG movie. Um, and it's not that they didn't show any blood. It's not that they didn't show any dismembered limbs, but it was all done tastefully, and it wasn't super in your face gore. A lot of movies, whether it's Star Wars, Indiana Jones, any big movie you can think of, they typically get away with not much swearing. It's not like you have to have it in a movie. Neither do I think you have to have it in a comic to make it interesting. If we look at the original Dark Knight Returns, when we read that, or even Watchmen, we'd read that and it feels super adult at the time. But it wasn't like a rated X or adult comic book yet,
Of course.
So I don't know. I'm of the mind that if you can, the wider an audience that you can show your stuff to, the better off everybody is. You make more money because you sell it to more people. More people get to read your story and appreciate it. And for parents even, I can give my kid a Batman comic book, but I'm not going to let him read Damned yet.
Right, of course.
But he sees Batman on it, he's going to think it's fine.
And that's when the responsible adult comes out.
It's a little bit confusing, I think, for kids.
I would say so. Yeah, you have a very fair point there.
But, they're going to do what they're going to do to make money.
True. For me, though, like what a lot of people overlook for Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn, the reason why I like it is never the rating. Just like you, I believe it's never the rating that should make the movie versus just making the movie a good movie. It was always, to me, the choices of characters. Like when you look at characters in Suicide Squad, Killer Croc, Katana, El Diablo, Deadshot. It's a lot of characters that people don't ever go and say like, "Oh, I like that character." There are some, but they're very few that'll ever say like, "Yeah, I'm a big fan." Because most of the time, what we get exposed to is Batman, Superman. Like to me, just to see those characters on the screen just made the movie worth watching. Same goes with Harley Quinn. You've seen Harley Quinn, right?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, not going to spoil anything then. But even just having a standalone Harley Quinn movie, to me, I thought that was a lot of fun. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I like the fact that they used the Birds of Prey. I like how they tried to use Harley Quinn to bring in the Birds of Prey, because if you just made a Birds of Prey movie, we will know what it is. You know, there will be those people that are like, the TV show's back, and
Right?
a lot of people are just gonna be like, all right, who's the Birds of Prey? What are they about? You put someone that's recognizable with that group, I think that's where you get the draw in. But at the same time, like you said, it has to be done for the sake of just making a good movie, not making a lot of money off the movie. That's why I just hated when the movie first came out for Harley Quinn. It was just a super long mouthful title, you know.
Right,
Birds
right.
of Prey, and, you know, it's like you put Harley Quinn in the Birds of Prey, like, okay, straight to the point. But no, I would say if you haven't watched it yet, find some time, find a way to watch it. It's really fun. I like it a lot.
I, I actually liked the long title.
You liked it?
I just thought it made it that much funnier.
To me, I was just I made myself tired saying it, so I was just like, you know, I had to repeat it like 3 times. I'm like, you know what? I'm a lazy guy. Make it Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey. That's why I liked it. I'm just too lazy to say the whole title.
But okay, so having seen that movie, again, because I haven't seen it, the things in it that made it rated R, was it necessary?
No, I will agree with you. It was definitely not.
And for the most part, I think they're not. Most of the
Yeah,
time.
like I just didn't really think it should have been rated R. I thought it was a good PG-13 movie. But then again, that's just me. You know, it's just someone else who probably be a little bit more sensitive and be like, oh my God, no, that had too much of this and that. At the same time, you know, it's just a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against rated R superhero movies, but just the whole, if you're gonna make it rated R, leave it its own thing, or make a
Right.
rated R universe and have the PG-13 universe.
I gotta agree.
Definitely, if they ever do um, a Swamp Thing movie, that I might want to see as a rated R, just because I want it to be scary.
I don't know. For me, like if they do a Swamp Thing movie, I am really precious about the first movie they did with Swamp Thing.
Oh,
I don't know why. I just love the way that movie was done so much. Even Return of Swamp Thing to me was really good.
I have all, I even have the TV series. Yeah. I mean, not
Very
the
good.
recent one, but the old TV series, the one that was on USA.
I remember which one you're talking about. Do you have the animated series?
No, I don't.
I mean, if you ever have the animated series, it's so hilarious because I'm like, man, you totally ripped off Van Halen for the theme song.
I remember I used to watch it, but I don't have it on any format. Um, but yeah, I even like the the old TV series.
To me, there's a lot of charm to that old stuff. That's why.
I just like the character.
Yeah,
But yeah, but that's something that I would want something to be scary, as scary as they could make it. So
now, do you think they'll throw too much gore in it and just all in your face where they're getting
that's
impaled
that's what I
outside?
don't want, you know.
Because,
If it becomes rated R because it's a little bit too tense or whatever,
well,
forget
I
it.
just don't want it to end up like the Man Thing movie. Do you remember the Man Thing movie?
I saw that. It
Like,
was horrible.
I was like, what is this? Is this just a porn and Man Thing just happens to be in there? Like, did he stumble into the wrong movie set? What happened?
Horrible.
You know, a lot of people are like, there's a Man Thing movie, I must watch it. It's like, no, don't watch it. Skip it. Skip it. Like, Man Thing was so bad, it made Electra an Oscar winning movie.
I
You know, it's just, ugh.
keep debating on at what point I'm gonna let Jacob watch the Fantastic Four movies. Um,
The
the
TV movie or,
the Tim Story ones.
oh, okay.
Um, I don't think they're horrible. I don't think they're great, but I can just see him asking me about when did Human Torch become Captain America.
I think that'll be the biggest question of that movie. They're like, oh, Captain America's Human Torch. I was like, oh, I'd rather have that than, you know, they're like, hey, Dad, I checked out this movie called Not Another Teen Movie. I didn't know Captain America was in that. I was like, yeah. Yeah, we don't remember that, Swan. We don't like it. No, I think the Fantastic Four movies, I appreciated it because it was just an interpretation of Fantastic Four. Like I said, I'm the guy who I'm accepting of most stuff, and just to see it on screen is something that it just gives me like a surreal feeling. So I understand though everyone's problems with that. You know, somebody actually picked apart the whole first movie to me, and Rise of the Silver Surfer and why it was so bad. And it was just, at the same time, we did get to see Silver Surfer on the screen. You know, maybe we didn't see Galactus, but it was still what it was. Plus, it was Lawrence Fishburne as Silver Surfer. What's not to like?
I didn't mind either of those movies. I mean, I didn't think they
I
were
did
amazing.
not. Yeah,
They were fun. You know,
I
that's
mean,
all
they
I
had
need.
accurate costumes. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people give a lot of guff to that. They're like, "Oh, that thing looked terrible." I was like, "Did you guys ever watch Fan Four Stick?" Gosh, now that was a terrible thing. At least the thing that they had, they tried to make it as practical, a little more,
Right.
you know.
I never saw the other one though.
Oh, Fan Four Stick.
Um,
You know, it's not Fantastic Four because they put a four in the titling, so it's Fan Four Stick.
uh,
I know Carl Amano. He swears he will never watch that movie. Like, it's to me, it was just weird because they have the negative zone a part of it, but yet it's not the negative zone. And I'm just
oh, I eventually I think I'll see it, but it's nowhere near the top of my radar. Yeah.
right. Plus, I was like the one fan. That was like the one Marvel movie. Stan Lee's like, I don't want to make a cameo in this at all. No,
Was he not?
it
I
wasn't
never
in there
heard.
at all. No, like, yeah,
Uh, yeah, that kind of makes you lack credibility, right?
for real, right?
Stanley's in every Marvel movie, but I don't want to be in that
Well, it's
one.
not only that, he's also in Kevin Smith movies. And he's like, yeah, I'd rather be in the Kevin Smith movies than this one.
Right? uh, funny. Speaking of Kevin Smith, you've seen the new Jay and Silent Bob movie?
Yes, loved it. Loved it. I liked it a lot.
I had mixed feelings.
I can see it though. I can see why everyone has these mixed feelings. Everyone liked it. They didn't like it. For me, it was just an enjoyable Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Right,
And I
right.
didn't, thinking about it, I didn't even expect that much out of it. And I think that's what made me like it because they did so much cool things with it. I know there's one scene that a lot of people are like, oh my God, that didn't need to be in there. But it's a lot of fun to always hear him bring up Tusk. And he's like, oh yeah, what about that movie with the walrus? It's
I,
fun. And
I
then,
love Tusk.
yeah, but it's like he makes a joke out of himself at the same time. They're like, could you at least get like 90s Kevin Smith to do it? Because new Kevin Smith can't do anything. I'm like, and I was just laughing. I was like, oh man, this is a lot of fun stuff.
I like Tusk and I liked Red State.
To me, like everyone that picks apart Tusk is wrong. They're like, oh, that walrus wasn't scary at all. And I was like, but you think about it, the movie does get you on like pins and needles throughout most of it
Right?
until you see it, And the best part is when he's like fighting as a walrus against a guy in a walrus suit.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, like everyone's just dumping on that, but at the same time, I give Kevin Smith a lot of credit because he makes tons of original characters, pretty much. If you think about it, the
Right.
Walrus, I would consider it an original character. The Bratzies are original. The Goalie Golem is original. I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for Moose Jaws to come out now.
I still haven't seen Yoga Hosers.
It's enjoyable. For me, I like it. It's really enjoyable. A lot of people, maybe not so much.
I think that's the only one I haven't seen. Yeah, that's the only one. Um, otherwise, I've always liked his stuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he's ever had a bad movie or a movie I didn't like, because I didn't realize, like, everyone's like, oh, Cop Out was bad. I was like, was it bad? I liked it. There's this. I don't know. Whenever it's Kevin Smith, I'm just a sucker to watch it.
Right. No, I didn't think Cop Out was horrible.
I mean, the only thing that was horrible about it to me is just Bruce Willis looked like he just didn't care. Like, you ever notice Bruce Willis stopped trying in movies, and then when you seen like Glass, it looked like he actually cared about being there and he was into the role.
Yeah. It definitely felt like he had nothing.
Like he was just bored,
No passion for that movie, you know. It's just
Oh
like,
yeah,
okay, give me give me my check.
yeah. You can just like he's like the check is behind me. I have a sixth sense about this.
Not like he even needs that kind of money, really.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So I mean, while I get why other people don't like it, I kind of I didn't mind it at all, but I did wonder, well, why did he do it?
I always
Certainly did.
wondered why, out of all the characters, I wondered why Tracy Morgan did it. Like Tracy, why'd you do this? Like to me, he was the more interesting cast member.
Hmm.
Yeah, good old Kevin Smith, man.
Sorry, I was having problems with my computer.
No, no, no worries. Take your time.
I recently tried or retried both Comic Base and the collectors.com comics.
Okay, how'd you?
Um, the Comic Base takes, well, on my computer, it's super slow because it's very graphics heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to work for me. But the other one, the Comic Collectors one, is pretty easy to use and all, but in terms of generating um, like the value of your collection, not so good. So
For me, I always use CLZ. You ever use that one?
which one?
CLZ Comics.
Yeah,
Comic. Yeah, I like the the way it's handled because it saves all of it to the cloud. And when you get a new phone, like how I did, and you reinstall it, it'll actually re-download everything from the cloud. Plus, it was just like I think $10, and you get to unlock, you get like store an unlimited amount of comics in your app. So it's a lot of fun to me. I like it. But I agree though, it's kind of graphics heavy as well. But I just like the fact that you can go into it and punch in, like, all right, I have 2 copies of this. This is a CGC grade. This is the grade, and then you get to go back and you have your own notes for it, pretty much.
haven't tried that one recently.
I'll say give it a try. It has almost everything, so it's fun. And if you don't have it, like for me, when I put the local comics in, I just pretty much register it into the app.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's been my recent thing. Besides getting onto Alika's videos, um, we're trying to reorganize my crap.
For when his stuff comes to your house,
It's gonna be a nightmare.
because
I
you're
heard
at
it's a
what,
lot.
2 long boxes? Was it
I picked up 3.
3? Crap.
So I just picked them up from him this weekend, and they're sitting here, but I'm not even looking at that yet.
You're just trying to get around the chaos that's around you so far.
Nuts. I look at this stuff sometimes and I'm like, oh, imagine if there was a fire.
It'll be safe.
The Phantom of the Paradise. I wasn't watching it like full on the whole time, but still has that gives me that warm feeling.
I agree. Yeah, it's just one of those movies too. You just find that enjoyment. It's just there.
Yeah, it's just so kooky. It's weird.
I don't know. I've been going down the rabbit hole on all the weird stuff, and I was just like, me and Joy, we're spending a lot more time together at home, and so it was just, huh, why don't I just show you some really random sci-fi movies that, for me, I find hilarious. Like Piranaconda. Then you have like Super Croc versus Dino Croc, or Super Gator versus Dino Croc. You know, just try to have at least some kind of fun with it.
All right, sir. So we're like at about an hour.
Yes, sir. So this is our time for our show. Now we're gonna do the random question of the day. I know last time I asked you like what athlete would you cast as a superhero, but this time I would say if you could have any superhero movie on screen as like the next movie, what would you rather have? What would you like to have? Pretty much.
Oh,
It can be any type of movie that hits the theater, animated, live action. I already know it might lead to Swamp Thing, but
if you ask me, what kind of superhero film I'd want to see, um, it's never gonna be animated because to me that's easy.
right,
Anybody could do the
balance
animation,
live action.
but so making a live action movie that's tricky. Um, but ultimately, if I could see a Grendel movie,
I would love to see that.
that would be amazing. But I actually think, and I've actually played this or had this idea in my head for a long time, is that with
Oh no, Scott, you lagged out on us.
movie. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. All
Yeah,
apart.
I've always thought it would be a TV series.
Okay, that would be pretty cool to see.
Especially
Yeah,
with
I
all
can
the
see that.
nations, right? So different movies.
Yeah, I think that would work out great. I don't know,
What
like
about you?
thinking about it, there's so many characters I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing stuff like Dead Man, or
Batman
even
would
like
be awesome.
if it was a TV series, I would love to see a demon TV series.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I would just be like sitting there and I'll be like the Uber fan watching and just geeking out over Etrigan and what he does.
Right? And you know how a lot of TV shows have that, like what's going on right now, and this is like 10 years ago, this was happening, and they go back and
Yeah,
forth. So I mean, with Etrigan, they can go back to
medieval
the
times.
mice
Like,
around the
yeah,
round table,
and then they can bring like seasons as the series can start off as you're back in the Knights of Round Table area, and then each season is Etrigan going through time. Like a century pass. Like to me, there'll be a lot more fun. Each season just focuses on that, and then you get to the modern time where he's a rapper. You know,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
a lot of potential.
yeah, there's so much you can do with it. To me, like Deadman has always been an interesting character. I would have loved to see him on screen. That leads into like the start of Justice League Dark or something.
Right? Right.
But if anyone's doing Deadman, I would have to say I want Del Toro.
That would be awesome.
The Del Toro, anything
Del Toro
supernatural.
doing any of those supernatural heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree. But yeah, that's mine.
Give Del Toro Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Oh God, Del Toro Swamp Thing. Like, just take my money.
Or Spectre movie.
That Spectre movie would be dope. Well, which Spectre do you think they would do? Like the original Spectre, Hal Jordan Spectre?
No, not Hal Jordan Spectre.
Yeah, I was about to say if they do Hal Jordan Spectre, I don't think that was worth making the movie
It
for.
have to be the original.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I mean,
Like-
all of these characters, it should be the original incarnation.
Of course. For me though, like just seeing it would be one thing, but if they use the original suit too, Like I know Etrigan, he has like his knight's armor, but I like the little red suit that he had.
right? But I mean, you could. There's definitely ways to modify that so that it looks a little more natural or a little bit more real,
True.
and still keep the colors and kind of the same thing.
I'm just imagining the Grendel armor in live action. I was like, man, that would be great. I think you get Del Toro on that too. I think it'll be good. But we both will agree on this one. New Gods is a movie.
Oh gods, yes.
Yes. I don't care. Movie, TV show, whatever. Just give me New Gods. Give me Orion ready.
Even New Gods though, wouldn't it be great as a series where you could explore more with more time, you know?
See, the thing I'm scared of is then they just use that series to focus on one person. And then they'll just be like, all right, yeah, it's just New Gods. But we're going to take it to where it's just Orion in space. At least at the movie, we'll see like a pan over the planet. We'll see Bug, you know. We'll see the Forever People. Yeah.
I don't know what director I get for Mr. Miracle movie. Mr. Miracle movie would be interesting.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, right now, after watching Mandalorian, I would say Jon Favreau would do really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really good.
But all right, Scott, thanks for joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun.